Hello everybody, it is time for the Wednesday comment review where I go through YouTube comments from last week and react, discuss, all that. Let's just get into it, and if you want to be in this video in the future, leave a comment and you might get in there. Like, comment, subscribe, and we'll start here with the video I made that was a little bit out of place, the turning my Digimon card money into something else video, which got mixed reviews. Well, I'll get into it in a second. Let's read the comments first. Espresso here says, seriously appreciate this content and the real talk about TCGs, running a small business, and growing your money. I started selling TCG player and stock trading a few years ago and also aspire to open my own game shop one day. So content like this, along with my shared love for Digimon TCG, is why I'm here and is invaluable for me. So thank you, and please keep up content like this. So that's one side. We have then this side. Digimon Marauder. Great video, and for everyone that didn't like it, they had the other 99% of the content to enjoy. The ones bitching about this vid should realize how privileged they are, lol. Right? And we'll get to one of those comments right now, where Quartzman says, this type of content would probably make a better side channel, although I can appreciate the market talk. I think most will prefer Digimon discussions to talk market. And Adam here even follows up and said, 100% I did not care for this. I'll take my not financial advice from elsewhere, please. And these are two guys that would normally not say boo. They would never cause me distress or say ill will about my stuff. But in this particular video, they did. So here's what I learned from the video that I uploaded. Most people in the community appreciate the angle. Some people, it's not enough Digimon. Which is kind of where I thought it was going to go. And like the YouTube algorithm and then likes and dislikes, all that shit. You know, you were able to see, I was able to see, that this video definitely hit for some, but did not hit for others. Like these two. And not just these two, a few others as well. So I think how I'm going to address it, you know, I had originally thought about making this kind of like a bi-weekly thing, or maybe weekly, depending on if the Digimon content is fresh and ripe enough for me to make content on. I don't think I'm going to do it weekly or bi-weekly. I think I will just share an occasional update, you know, when there's stuff to really report about. And, you know, that way it's not really intrusive on anyone that watches this channel for Digimon content. You know what I mean? I think that's the best way to appease it. And the people that really enjoy it, you know, they'll really find the value from it. And of course, you know, I'll answer questions about this kind of stuff whenever. You know what I mean? I really... This is going to sound... This will probably ruffle a few feathers after I say this. I actually enjoyed making that video more than Market Watches. Which, usually Market Watches are my favorite video to make. Because it's like, wow, everything's going so well, or it's not, or, you know, whatever, doing the real analysis. But this hit more. I don't know if you guys noticed, I actually, like, edited the video. I used PowerPoint. I hate PowerPoint, but I actually used PowerPoint for that video. And, you know, the end result, I was actually kind of really proud of. So, you know, we'll leave it at occasional. Part 2 will come out at some point. But yeah, I'm not gonna steamroll this into anyone's, you know, rear side mirror, so to speak, if they're not here for that kind of stuff. Somebody recommended make a separate channel for this kind of stuff, but like I never would. The stuff that I take really, really close to heart is something I'll never make content on. It's why you'll never really see me make accounting content, and you'll never really see me make stock trading content, because that stuff is really specific, and I don't really want my view on how I do things to kind of be extrapolated into anything else. I really like to keep the professional and everything else kind of separate. Uploading videos like I used to about just being an entrepreneur in general, it's a very general thing, and I have no problem doing that. And this kind of fits in the theme, but anyway, we'll leave it to occasional, and that's that. Last of File TCG, something that might happen with the release of Digimon Allison is that we will be playing an older meta up to B5, I believe, so old cards might get popular again. This is true. I don't think it'll be an... You will see a bump in some cards a little bit, but I don't think this will cause the explosion that'll happen one day on the old cards. That's my opinion, though. Very salty says, I hate to fact check you, but you seem to be real out of touch with Duncan's coffee pricing. Can't even get a small hot for under 3. I did check this. Very salty is pretty much right on the money here. Dunkin' Donuts has gotten more expensive. And to me, I only ever order their specialty drinks, you know, those large, ridiculous looking ones. And those are like $6-ish whenever I order those ones. So, you know, very salty is right. You'd have to sell a little bit more to get a coffee at Dunkin' Donuts, but, you know, Dunkin' Donuts, I mean, when you think about what to spend your money on, consider Dunkin' Donuts. Unless you're in Canada and you can't, and that's just very sad for people like us. Solex Cross. Not gonna lie, I sold 2 copies of Arisa for $75 each. I assume he's referring to the promo one. But for some reason, people keep putting up listings for $50. It's interesting, but it's almost like they're trying to find a quick buck instead of also trying to sell for 70 plus. Maybe you have a better explanation as to why they list lower when they can sell for higher. I could, but this guy replying to your comment did a good job. High Score Chef says it's called under-competitive pricing. It ain't that deep. Eventually, when they sell at that range, people prices will in turn adjust, and the market will be a $50 range. Just folks trying to change the market value. You see, so there's 2 things happening. Number one, not enough people can sell for $75, right? You know, a few people like Solex Cross, you squeak through and you do it, and that's okay. But that's not the masses. That's not demand. You know what I mean? But then most people can't do for 75, so they have to adjust and they have to kind of get lower. They test the water, right? How low can I go to sell this card without going low too low? And $50, you know, is acceptable. That's what the market deems is acceptable for the price of, say, promo Arisa at this exact moment in time. And this will always change with meta relevance, with supply, whether or not it's good supply, lots of supply, or bad supply, as in little supply. A lot of factors impact it. But basically, what it comes down to for Solex Cross is that people are just trying to find what can reasonably selling them. I'm sure everyone would sell promo Risa for $75 if they could, but that's just not the world people live in. And people do not a lot of people want to spend $75 on promo Risas. And that's where that fight to see where it will sell to the masses comes in. I'll leave it at that. I won't go into full-blown economics on this video, but like, that's what we're looking at. Now we get into the comments on last week's comment video. And the comments on the comment video are usually some of the best ones. Like Mox Moonstone here typing not an essay per se like he's known for, but something else. Related to retro formats, maybe I'm just blessed by my deck choices in Adventure, Hero, and Virus Imperial, but a majority of the games I play, I can either prevent no TK and be resilient, or take several turns to chip out a win. I think the only deck I felt I just couldn't do anything about are training decks like Gallant or Leviamon, or Lucky Knights player that got to purge and Omega into security. Overall, my number of concerns with the resource system and the gameplay overall have been less and less as new ban lists come out and new sets get released, so I feel we're moving in a good direction. I don't know how to word this. Because I actually like this guy a lot. Well, not a lot, but you know what I mean. I respect the opinion, the grind. He's got some tops, you know what I mean? There are some people who you say the truth to. And no matter what, they will continue to live in ignorance is bliss mode. Now, Adventure, I don't know anything about Hero. I'll be real, so I'm not going to include this in the conversation. Adventure and Virus Imperial have the tools in Archetype to prevent OTKs. Which is why, if you see that stuff, that's the secret. If you see it, yeah, you can prevent an OTK. I've played Adventure Virus Imperial plenty of times, on both sections, and sometimes you get OTK'd before you can draw and really get going on either deck. But sometimes if you do get going, then yeah, it's a bit of a slower grind and sake of adventure sometimes. Maybe even Rise of Peril sometimes. You can kind of prevent the OTK, and you can just win based on attrition. That's true, but you have to get there. And decks like Gallantmon and Leviamon, and there are others too, they don't care about the facts or your feelings, and they'll just OTK the fuck out of you. Because that's the actual design of the game. He gives Royal Knights like a half pass, I guess, because if you get lucky in security. But like, I've actually had no issues with Royal Knights in my life, which I'm going to actually get to in a later comment. So, I am not going to sit here try to convince this guy that we're not moving in a good direction. Because this guy, people like him that keep spending money on the game because they're happy with the direction of the game, regardless of how it's perceived by anyone else. While some people might be saying the sky is falling, people like this just weather the storm, grab their umbrella, and they ignore it, and they move on with their lives. Some people think we're in the most skilled Digimon format right now of all time, which I think is ridiculous, but those are the people you're not going to convince. And those are the people that are giving Bandai money. So as long as those players are happy, Bandai will keep trying to make those players happy. But that's, related to retro formats, right? I was very happy with BT5 and before. And as formats have gotten released, I've gotten less and less. Sorry, BT8 and before. And like, I hate to like toot my own horn, but when I won a regional in BT8, it was in a skill-based format with a skill-based deck and skill-based tech choices. When I won that DC Grand Prix in BT9 format, I will 100% tell you there was no skill involved. The only skill involved was building my deck ahead of time. But, like, it's not hard to do 5 checks with Ancient Greymon and then blitz on me for game. There's no skill there. You know what I mean? And that's really what Digimon has become. But, that's... This guy happy. As long as you're happy, that is what matters at the end of the day. Dio Brando. Sorry, I didn't watch the video because I don't have much time, but when did Digimon TCG become popular? Last I heard was people saying the game was dying. I think I see this, every week on the interwebs, and I just choose to ignore it. Digimon is not dying. And I keep saying this. We luckily have Battle Spirit Saga to show us what a dying Bandai trading card game in 2025 looks like. We are nowhere near that close. So Digimon is fine right now. So there you go. Lonnie the Waffle. Digimon sales out at small card shop compared to large card shops that been around. Not all card shop can stay around with some card shop. Don't mess with Digimon. And then someone comments, a lot of card shops don't mess with Digimon where I'm from. It's really interesting. So when you're a store or a business and you choose to make money through selling a product, ideally you either want to sell a product that no one can get anywhere else to be competitive, or if you're selling something, you want to make money off it, as much money as you can, right? There are some card games that make more money than Digimon. Quite a few. Like Pokemon, for example, makes a lot more money. Like stores, I'm going based on Canada, but I'm pretty sure it's the same in the US. I can make more profit percentage off of buying and selling Pokemon sealed product from my distributor than I can from Digimon, unless I were to price gouge. But if I price gouge, no one wins, because I'm either screwing the players or they're going to say we're not buying, and I screw myself. No, if you're being fair and you're being reasonable, the profit percentages are greater on Pokemon and hell, even Magic, than Digimon. And I throw Yu-Gi-Oh in there too nowadays. That's kind of where we are. And that's why some shops won't deal with Digimon cards. I actually will see a lot of vendors, they don't even have singles for the game. They have One Piece singles, now they have Gundam singles, but they won't actually have Digimon singles because it's just not. It's not it. Not anymore, anyway. And this will bring us now to the comments on the ban list thoughts and predictions video. And, you know, we always get the most comments on these kind of videos. Robert here had an interesting discussion with a friend. Do you think increasing deck size to 60 would slow down the game? OTK decks that win turn 2 or turn 3 would have to dig deeper for pieces, and other decks that are slower but have tight space restricting the use of consistent pieces without then have more room. I actually don't think it will, because it's kind of like the tide will move older ships kind of thing. And you can just throw more consistent pieces anyway if you really want to. Sure, it'll slow down the OTK decks, but it might also slow down the other decks as well. I mean, it probably wouldn't hurt it, but if we're looking for a significant increased change from a 60 card versus 50 card deck, nah, I don't think so. You just build your decks differently. I actually had like a minute of thought about this comment when I read it. I'm like, would it really make a difference? But then I thought, well, this deck could play this, that. No. Nah, not really, was the answer. Boris the Goose. No called Royal Knight hit. Interesting. Would their plan to hit consistent stopping decks from April suggest that to me it's Sakuya, Megidramon, Groundmon, Loops, and Royal Knights? I agree with most of your choices. I think Talmon and Rika need to go for Sakuya. Gradicush gotta go. I agree that Growl X could potentially also go. Runai Purge needs to go, in my opinion. Someone in the comments, Royal Knight is a fair deck. It's just good. Shouldn't ban good decks just because you don't like it. And then someone comments, okay, you play Royal Knight, we get it. I'm going to come at this. I am not a regular Royal Knight player. We have a guy in our testing group that almost all he plays is Royal Knights. Like, when he has his chance to test, it's Royal Knights. And I kind of talked to him about this, and he said, what are you going to hit? Which is really interesting. The only two cards I could really see hitting that make sense are Omekamon and Purge. And hitting either of those cards doesn't really do that much. Whereas other cards you can hit, like King Drazzle, would kill the deck. I actually, despite it having tops, you know, a good amount of tops for that matter, it's not an unfair deck. Someone in the comments is going to say, Mario, you're wrong, it's the most unfair, blah, blah, blah. I know it's coming. I'm aware. I can feel it already. But compared to, like, Megidramon, compared to Sakuyamon, compared to Sayo and Ko turn skips, compared to other OTK decks that exist, Royal Knights is fair, comparatively speaking. Yes, Royal Knights build up to OTK you in one shot, sometimes two shots. Sure, no problem. But, like, it's not like the others. Still, that doesn't mean it won't get hit, and they very well could get a hit. I just don't see what you hit in Royal Knights that doesn't kill the deck. You hit Omekamon, whatever. And if you hit Purge, it's like, okay, but yeah, whatever. They move on. Life moves on, right? I don't really know. If you disagree with me, let me know in the comments. I did speak to a few people before even like making this video, and that's kind of like where the hive mind is right now. But I don't know. Maybe we're just different. Radioactive says you hit all the scrambles to 1. You kill 2 birds with 1 stone by hitting Sakuya and make any future decks abusing them. People actually used to say the same thing about trainings. And granted, scrambles are better than trainings. Yes, they are. They're not going to hit scrambles. They will not. They just won't. You know, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. And I will take that on the chin. And I will admit that I was wrong. They're not hitting scrambles. Nah. Not the consistency piece for other decks. They'll hit around the scrambles. Other cards. The scrambles aren't going anywhere. Bandai loves their generic consistency cards for their colors. Elm Sano. Why don't just limit Talmon to 17? I think that's the card that make all the game. Someone replies that wouldn't really work. But after talking to some Sakuyamon people, after I made my prediction video, you know, This is actually probably the hit. This, or even like Sakuya X, those are probably also in consideration getting hit. Whereas Green Plugin, maybe not so much. So I will actually concede that fact, and I will, I guess, revise my prediction to include maybe they also hit this Talmon or Sukurimon X. Because they actually explained to me, why those cards matter. So, yeah. And maybe Sukurimon is just so good you gotta hit multiple cards. That's also a consideration that some people were telling me. So we'll see what happens with Sukurimon, but it's gotta go. The deck's been doing too much for too soon. Too long, sorry. Oh, here's a comment like that right now. Reena. As a Sukurimon player, pair ban Sakuya X and Yellow Scramble. This makes it so Sakuya cannot keep turn going into a Floodgate level 7. This also makes it so extra copies in hand can't be used for climb, and it's 5/6 for 1 memory cheaper. Yeah. This is introducing a paired pan. I honestly hate the paired ban system. I don't like it. They should just eliminate it, and they should just ban problem cards or limit them, because they'll just be problems somewhere else. And then you gotta do a whole new pair ban, like we're seeing with the Sayo and Cold Blue Tamer for Galaxy. We're seeing it again. You know what I mean? I wish they would just get rid of pair ban altogether. Seriously, just stop it. This is the last comment of the day. I never cover comments this big. I never read them. I'm not reading this one from Musala Algamon. If you want to pause the screen and read this comment, you go ahead. But I'm going to take away the biggest point from this comment, which actually starts right around here. I'll read this part. That said, Digimon is in a rough spot, not matter what, unless the ban list is big enough to quell its memory issue on how little memory means to the game for a lot of top decks. Blah, 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 blah. And then he says down here, oh, actually, if it isn't those decks, it could easily be as toxic else. Be something else that is just as toxic. I think if they really want to fix the game, which I don't think they do, they need to hit a lot of cards. Which is really interesting, because this is what we're talking about, the last ban list prediction. The video I made, the ban list won't fix Digimon, to which a lot of people got angry, and there's a whole Reddit thread about that video. I still remember that. But, yeah, I was right. Go figure! We went from a whole bunch of decks that you can't interact with or OTK you, to the ban list coming out when it came out in April or whatever that was. And we're in the same spot, because that's just the direction Bandai is in. And let me tell you something. This ban list will be the same thing. Yes, ban lists exist to tame certain problems and sell product. Absolutely. They need to exist. But if anyone is sitting here and thinking the ban list is actually going to matter, it's not. Because they're going to hit what they're going to hit, and then the new things are going to come out, if even, depending on their ban list, and just take over the format and be just as skillless, just as toxic, just as solitaire. Because that's the way they build their game. That's it. That's it. That's the takeaway from this comment. I would make another video about how the ban list won't fix Digimon again, but I don't want to get another Reddit thread named after me. That's still funny. But yeah, it all doesn't matter. It's all bullshit at the end of the day. And on that lovely turn of phrase, we'll end the video there. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!